Good morning, everybody. This is Amy Rapp with the Division of Aging. Thank you all for joining us on the call this morning. And just thank you all just for hanging in there with us and elevating your feedback to the CAMS team when you're seeing issues, or even when there's things that you're seeing that you're liking. Just thank you just for providing that feedback to us so we can jump on those issues and get those resolved quickly. We do have a full agenda today, so I'm going to go ahead and toss this over to Laura to get us started for this morning.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. Good morning, everybody. If you could just join the Zoom, so make sure that you're actually logged in on the Zoom and that you can see my screen. So similar to what we've done for the past few weeks, we are going to have a combination of a deck with a presentation and then also some demo content that we're going to run through. As always, we will send out the PowerPoint presentation as well as the recording from this session afterwards. So hopefully that's helpful to all of you. And we'll just jump in. So the first thing that we did want to review is based on the feedback that we received last week, and then some working sessions that we had had with AAAs and ICMs. We did change the cadence and format of these meetings slightly. So you'll see we now have a weekly Thursday meeting, and that's the meeting that we're in this morning. It's been modified. So previously that meeting was on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The meeting now is on Thursdays. We really feel like this, in combination with the one-on-one working sessions that we are having with all of you, really puts us in the best position to identify issues in CAMS, resolve those issues, and then also answer questions that all of you may have. We have had working sessions with several of you already. I believe we've actually conducted about 6 working sessions thus far. We do have 17 working sessions scheduled in total. So thank you to all of you who have taken time to get those scheduled. I will say, if you have not scheduled a session yet and you feel like that would be helpful for the folks at your AAA or ICM, please do not hesitate to do so. I'm sure that folks can tell you in the chat, but those meetings are really meant to be free form. You know, you don't necessarily have to use the chat in those meetings. We really ask that people share their questions or concerns, any issues that they have with CAMS when we do have those working sessions. We also, because we're just working with a specific AAA or an ICM, we do have the opportunity to do a screen share, which is very helpful. We can actually see what you're seeing on your screen. It also gives you an opportunity, if you have tickets, specific help desk tickets that you'd like for us to look at, we can also pull those up and look at those as well. So again, thank you to those who have signed up and for your time and willingness to work with our team. And if you have not yet signed up, please do so if you feel like that would be a valuable activity.
Hey, Laura, could I just add that
Sure.
For those that haven't signed up, if you're a little skeptical about whether it's worth the 45 minutes or more spent, just give it a chance and look around, because we have found it very valuable for the CAMS team. But I think that those AAAs and ICMs who have participated have also found it extremely helpful as well. So if you're a little bit on the fence about whether or not it'll be useful to you, please consider just making the leap and signing up.
Yeah, that's a great point, Chuck. And I will say we do find a combination of feedback items when we are in those meetings. So some things are actually, we can help and show you maybe a better way or a different way of doing something in CAMS. And then in other instances, you all are helping us and showing us things that you're seeing in the system that maybe aren't working quite the way that you would anticipate. So it really is good all the way around. So now we're going to jump into the Q&A portion of the presentation. So these are really questions that we've received either through the Zoom chat in past meetings. These are questions that we receive in the working sessions with the AAAs and ICMs. So we try to, if we're seeing the question more than once, we do try to make sure that we're answering that on this call. If you aren't seeing a question that you have answered, we ask that you please do put that in the chat, and then we can make sure that we get that addressed for you. So the first item that we wanted to talk about is NOAs. So over the past several weeks, there have been a series of updates to the NOA and NOA processing. There's been various issues, including people seeing blank NOAs, or essentially when they pull down the NOA or they see it sent out of the system, it doesn't have any information in it. So I did want to give everybody just a few updates in that regard. So the first one is that as a result of one of the working sessions that we had with the AAA on Tuesday, and thank you if you did work with us on Tuesday, we were able to identify the root cause of an issue with NOAs. So essentially, we were seeing that for some service plans, and specifically for some plan services, folks were not able to generate the NOA, or they were generating as blank. And really at the core of that issue is that those service plans did not have service units. And we'll show you here in just a moment what we mean by that in CAMS, so how you can actually tell if your service plan doesn't have service units. Currently in the system, and I think this is helpful to walk through, the following criteria exists for an NOA to generate. And so what I mean by this is an NOA will not generate from CAMS unless these criteria are met. So the first one is that the plan must be in an active status. We do realize that this potentially does create a gap, meaning that in the working sessions that we've had with AAAs and ICMs, we have heard from you that there are times where you might want to generate an NOA for a plan that maybe hasn't met an active status, or that active status needs to be moved up. Meaning currently in CAMS, an active status is not realized until the plan actually hits the date that it would go active. So the first date, the start date essentially of that plan. So we do appreciate the time from all the AAAs and ICMs in showing us that issue. And we have identified this as a gap, are working through that and identifying a way that you can generate the NOAs. We don't have that in place currently. I will say, if you are seeing this issue and you do have feedback regarding it, please do put that in the chat as well. The separate issue that I wanted to talk a little bit about is there are a population of service plans for which the service units did not generate. So they did meet the criteria that I just talked about. They were in an active status, but for some reason or the other, the system didn't generate the service units, which then prevented the user of the system to actually pull down the NOA or for the NOA to be sent out. So I did want to let everybody know that yesterday, we did go in on the back end of CAMS and we manually generated approximately 500 service units associated with 500 service plans. There's approximately 100 service plans where we weren't able to get the service units to generate. And it looks like those service units did not generate because of missing data in the system. From our perspective, if you have a service plan and it does not have service units, we ask that you put in a help desk ticket so we can take a look at your specific instance. The other reminder that we did want to say is to please ensure that your service plan has all the pertinent fields and information filled out. If it doesn't have all the data in it, the service units won't always generate. I know that was a lot, so I'm going to let that sink in for a second. We're gonna keep going. We're going to say something, Chuck.
Yeah. So the real point is that if they have one of these service plans right now that's in this situation, they should look at them first and make sure that they haven't missed some data before they submit that help desk request. If they believe they have everything that is needed, then submit the request.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And if you are seeing things and you're on the Zoom chat, feel free to put that in the chat as well, and we can look at particular help desk tickets in addition to that. The next kind of related question that we had is, will updated NOAs be automatically sent from CAMS? So we do plan to automatically generate and send NOAs for all service plans that have been created since 4/1. If you remember, we did this back on 4/22, where we had made some updates to the NOA report and process and had sent all of those out automatically. We do plan to do that as well. We are making just a couple of more updates to that provider authorization report. And then once that's completed, we will send those out, and we will make sure that we send a communication to all of you when we do send those out. This is really an effort to help you so that you don't have to go in and manually generate these and send these all out if you did see an erroneous NOA in the past. I think the only thing to consider is that if somebody did receive an NOA and it was valid, there could be a chance that they just receive a duplicate NOA, which shouldn't be a huge deal. It's probably the lesser of two evils, but we did want to bring that up. We also wanted to just quickly walk through, we've received some questions regarding how can I manually generate the NOA in CAMS? So we're going to do our demo portion of the meeting. So just a couple of quick reminders. I am in a test environment doing this, so the data that you see might look a little bit strange, but the functionality is going to be the same that you see in your environment when you log into CAMS. So the first thing I'm going to do is just log in, or I'm going to click on the hamburger menu over on the side here. I'm going to go to individuals. I'll find my individual that I'm working from. I'll go there first. I don't have any individuals. I'll go active individuals. I will open up, let's open up this record here at the top. And the system is thinking, it wants to open the record. There we go. And then if I go here at the top, I can go to the service plan for this individual. I open up the active service plan. And then I go down to the plan services. I can see all the plan services for this service plan. Open it up. And then up at the top here, to get to the actual report where you're going to run it, I'm going to click on the ellipsis. That's the three little dots here. And then I'm going to go down to Run Report. And then I'm going to click on that DA Provider Authorization Report. Since this is a test environment, it won't run in any meaningful way, but that's the way that you will run it. And then you will get a rendering of the report that you can then save to your local machine, and then you can send it out accordingly. So we're going to go back to our presentation. So we just walked through how to manually generate an NOA. The other thing that we wanted to bring up is that manual generation and that report that we just showed. We have made some updates to that in the last week. So we did want to bring that up because I know that folks have reported these things to the help desk or told us during working sessions. And then we have been able to work with some of the AAAs to confirm that these are now pulling as you would anticipate. So the first thing that we updated is that the current units and the current costs are now displaying correctly in the service units table. I know before there were some issues with some months zeroing out, or maybe a month wasn't correct for that particular month. So we've now corrected all those issues. So you should now see those units and current costs should now match what is being displayed in CAMS as well. The second thing that we wanted to bring up is that the service units table has been filtered to only display the correct months associated with the planned services. Previously, you may have been seeing additional months outside of the actual months where the services were being rendered. The third thing is that the service unit table now displays the associated provider rather than the name of the care manager tied to the service plan. Hopefully that's helpful as you're trying to send these out to providers, as it now lists their name and not the care manager's name. The fourth item on the list is that the correct provider address is now populated at the top of the letter. And then 5 and 6 on the list, we are planning to add the funding source and the RID to that provider authorization notice as well. And we are slated to add that later today. So we will include that in our communication out to all of you. So something that we did want to show everybody, as we have received some questions regarding this, and we'll show you where to see in CAMS if you have service units on your service plan. But the other thing that we've done is on that provider authorization report that I just showed you, if your record in CAMS does not have service units, the report will actually tell you that. So if you are seeing that issue, again, please do check your service plan. Please make sure that all the fields are filled out appropriately. And if you're seeing that they are and you believe the service unit should have generated, please do put in a help desk ticket. So we'll just take a look real quick. So if I go back to my service plan record and I scroll down, I want to be on the plan service. Is that where I want to be? I don't want to be on the service. So if you're on the, if you're on the plan service, you'll want to go down to the service unit section and see that it's populated with data. Now, if this is not populated with data and you try to run that report that I just showed you, the DA provider authorization report, you will get a message that looks like this. So it will say report cannot be generated because the plan service does not have service units. So we're hoping that this is helpful to you as you do try to generate NOAs. It's a little bit more descriptive than just getting a blank NOA altogether. All right, we're going to keep going. The next information that we did want to share was around generating CMFR claim lines. We have received some questions regarding this, and so we thought it would be prudent to share some additional information with all of you. So the first question that we received is, does the plan already have a delivered unit for that month? So we did want to, the answer to that is any task that is entered can potentially trigger a delivered unit. This should not stop the claims process from continuing, but may indicate a record has already been processed. Please check the service unit for the time period and see if a service unit fiscal record has already been generated. The second question that we received was regarding interrupted, restarted, and terminated plans. Plans that are in an interrupted, restart, or terminated status have extra checks placed around them to ensure that the billing is correct. Any task with an effective date after a plan has been terminated or interrupted will not generate a delivered unit after the termination or interruption date. For restart plans, any task with the effective date in the period where the plan was interrupted, but before the plan was restarted, will not generate a delivered unit. The third question that we received is this the most current service plan? The process to create a delivered unit looks at the most recent plan created based on the latest approval and denial decision date. You can find this in the section labeled Approval Details on the Service Plan. For reference, we have created a knowledge base article that walks through this information as well. And we did include the name of that article down here, Generated Delivered Unit for a Case Management Flat Rate Claim. And if you do have additional questions regarding that, please do put it in the Zoom or please put in a help desk ticket. The next thing that we wanted to walk through was the plan RFI, the pending to submitted process. So there is a process for actually submitting the plan RFIs, and we have outlined those here. I will tell you, we were working with a AAA yesterday, and we did identify a potential issue where they weren't able to see the RFI on their dashboard. So I wanted to let you know that we are currently looking at that issue to ensure that you can pull up those RFIs and you can work with them accordingly. But these are the intended steps. We'll be sure to include that information in our daily communication to you all as well. So assuming that you are able to access the RFI on your dashboard, step one is that the DA Care Manager Consultant would create the RFI for submitted service plans prior to Tier 2 approval. And then the Care Manager Consultant will update the service plan status to RFI pending. The step two involves using the Care Manager dashboard, and there's a specific view called Open Plan RFIs, and the CM would then open the plan RFI that the CMC created. The CM would then review the RFI and make any changes to the service plan via comments in the RFI closure comments area. And then the CM would select Submit, which resubmits the service plan and moves it to submitted status. And then the third step of this process is that the CMC would review CM comments and either move them to approved status or will deny and create a new RFI, moving the service plan back to RFI pending status. And again, we did work with a AAA yesterday who was doing a screen share with us and did identify that they weren't able to see some of this information on their dashboard. So we are looking into that issue and we will send out communication regarding that. The next thing that we wanted to walk through is PCMT. We have received some questions around PCMT and really assessments in general. So just a couple of reminders. So the first thing is that CAMS does require a new PCMT assessment for all service plans on a quarterly basis. We did want to note that to assist with this workload, the Division of Aging has approved the ability to conduct PCMTs for Title III C2 individuals over the phone throughout the month of May. Our hope is that this will aid in the creation of service plans. So if you do have any questions regarding that, please do put it in the chat. We also did want to provide a friendly reminder to please create all of your assessments from the case record in CAMS. We have seen some instances where folks were trying to create it from the individual. And when you do that, you'll actually get an error message when you try to submit your service plan. So again, please always create assessments, meaning your PCMT, your NRREI, et cetera, from the case record in CAMS, not the individual. The next thing that we wanted to talk about is a role update that we made earlier this week. And really this was this was initiated by feedback that we received from all of you. So thank you again to those who did bring this to our attention. So users that have the DA field clerical role were previously allowed to see cases and services for plans outside of their agency. Again, thank you if you submitted a question regarding this or helped us to get. The CAMS team has modified the permission on the role to limit access to only your respective agency. So if you are seeing that you can see more than your agency, please do let us know, but we do believe this issue has been fixed at this time. We have made the change in CAMS on the back end. So you don't need to take any action from a AAA or ICM perspective. And again, if you do see additional issues, please just let us know. The next thing that we wanted to walk through, as it may have caused some confusion last week, is that we were talking about adding case activities versus case notes to your case in CAMS. So last week we mentioned that you can add documentation in the notes area of the case. We do apologize, but please always use activities, which are located within the case record. Again, apologies for this mistake, but you'll always want to use activities in the case record, and we will just kind of walk through that very quickly. So I'm going to go back to my handy dandy test environment. I'm going to go to one of my cases. Nope, I don't have any cases. I'm going to open one of those up. And so I'll want to go to the activities. So again, I can get to that. And there's multiple ways to navigate to activities within CAMS, but if you're on the case record, you can use a little caret next to the name of the case, and then you can click on activities and then add your activities from the screen. Okay. Oops. The next question we received was around inter-RAIs, specifically inter-RAIs that are transferred from other agencies. So there was a question regarding how do I view previous inter-RAI assessments transferred from another agency to mine? And specifically, I think there was a question, you know, why can I not see inter-RAIs that are transferred from another agency? So I think we did mention last week you can't see those if they are transferred from another agency. And really it's because there's some configurations and settings on the back end that don't allow you to see a transferred inter-RAI. But I will tell you, if you do need to see that inter-RAI, please do put in a help desk ticket, and we can help you with gleaning any information that you may need from that inter-RAI. The next question that we received is, where can users access the cost share statement by not having to pull up each individual separately? Some of you in our working sessions that we've had with all of you, we've been really impressed with the level of knowledge that people have and knowing that they can select multiple records in CAMS or their skill in navigating the system. But for those who have not seen this yet, we did want to share. So if you go up to the top here and you go to the hamburger menu, you click on financials, and then you go down to individual statements. Click on that, and then you'll see on this page, there's a little checkbox or check mark column. If I select multiple column or multiple records here, you'll see that they highlight in blue. So right now I have Bobby Simpson, David Tony, and Barry Allen selected. If I go up to the ellipsis here and then click on Run Report, I can click on that DA cost share statement, and that will actually then run it for all of these three individuals. So hopefully that's a little bit of a time saving so that you don't have to click on each record individually and generate this report. You can actually do it for multiple folks at once. I do want to note that when you do select multiple records and then run a report, it will actually ask you additional questions. So you'll want to say the selected records, because essentially I've selected these records. So I'm only going to run this report for the selected records, and then I can click Run Report and it will run it. And there is just a note, sometimes people get a little confused because they'll see the first page of the report and then they will wonder where all their other data is. If you click this little next page button, that will take you to all the following reports that you would run as well. All right, now we're going to jump into some recent questions that we have received from a help desk perspective. So the first question that we received is, I believe there's a case for the individual, but I can't find it. What should I do? So if there's a case for an individual that you can't seem to find in CAMS, we do ask that you please submit a help desk ticket. It could be that the case exists, but it's owned by another agency. Folks at the help desk can see across agencies, so they can confirm if a case does exist, and in turn, they can help facilitate that case ownership and assign that to a different agency if that's needed. The next question or demonstration that we wanted to run through, we have seen some questions regarding the ability to locate Tier 1 approvals. So specifically, we received the question, can you help me identify the advanced find query to locate service plans that have received Tier 1 approval? We've written out the steps here for doing that, but we'll also show you as well. I know we received some comments about, advanced find being difficult, and I will tell you, there's a little bit of a learning curve to kind of getting a handle on your advanced find. But once you do, I will tell you, it's a very powerful tool. So let's walk through quickly how you will locate any service plans that have received Tier 1 approval. So we will go back to CAMS. So the first thing that I'm going to do is navigate to the advanced find, which is this button up here with the little filter on it. The next thing that you will do is you will look for the record type that you're actually trying to see. So in this instance, I want to see service plans. So I'm going to find service plans and click on that. And then once I do that, I think that we talked about this in a past meeting, but once I do that, I think the easiest way is to always start with a saved view in the system. And the reason I say that is because the saved views in the system are going to have all the columns that you might be used to seeing in a particular view, or that you might be working with day to day. And in the long run, it'll save you a little bit of work of having to add all those additional columns to your service plan view. So an easy one to do for service plans would be to just start out with active service plans. And you'll see that the first criteria that we get up here for the service plan is that the status of the service plan is active. Obviously, we're not just looking for active service plans. We want to see service plans that have already received their Tier 1 approval. So I can actually change which field this is pointed to. So if I click the little drop down, I can go down to my Tier 1 approval. And if you remember on the record in CAMS, so actually let's do a little side by side. And let's go back to a service plan. All right, so I have a service plan open up. If you remember on your record in CAMS, we actually have at the bottom here, it will tell you if a service plan is in Tier 1 approval, when it was approved, Tier 2 approval, when it was approved, who it was approved by. And these are actually the field names that you will use when you are creating your advanced find. So I know sometimes it's hard to know what field to use when you're creating your advanced find, but I would say the easiest way to do that is to go to the record that you're interested in filtering, or the record type that you're interested in filtering, and then find the name of the field that you're wanting to filter on. So in this instance, I want to filter on Tier 1 approval. So I went over here and I found the Tier 1 approval field, and I only want the Tier 1 approvals that contain data, because I know that those are the ones that have a date populated. So that means that the Tier 1 approval has occurred. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to click on contains data. Now, If in my view, I want to see the ones that have been Tier 1 approved, but maybe have not gotten to Tier 2 approval yet, I can add another condition to my advanced find. I do that by clicking on the select button there. You'll see when I mouse over it, it actually brings up another drop down. So I'm going to mouse over it, click on the little drop down. I know that that field is called Tier 2 approval because I can see it over on my record. So click on Tier 2 approval. And then I want a Tier 2 approval that does not contain data, because essentially I want to see service plans that have been approved for Tier 1 but not for Tier 2. I'm going to say does not contain data. And then if I'm curious as to what the results look like, I can just click on the results button, and that will show me all the results that that query is bringing back. If I like this query, I can then save it. So if I go back to Advanced Find, I can go to Save As, and I can call it whatever I want. So I'm going to call this Service Plan Tier 1 Approval, and save it. And then if I ever want to get back to that view, I can go to my saved views here, and it will list out all the views that I have created. You can also filter on other criteria. If you do have a specific advanced find question or something that you're trying to search for in the system, please do either bring it to your working session and we can help you with how to find that information, or if you put it in the Zoom chat, we could look at creating a knowledge base article for it, or sharing it in a future meeting or communication. So we're going to go back to the presentation. The next thing that we wanted to talk a little bit about is articles or KB articles that have been recently created. We did just want to make a quick note that all of the QRGs are in the knowledge base area of CAMS. We did receive some feedback from a working session that we had earlier this week that folks weren't necessarily seeing that CAMS Resource Center when they were logging in. If you are not seeing that, or folks on your team are not seeing that, please do make sure that they have that FSSA base user role. And that's something that you're going to add in the AAA ICM portal. If you do have questions regarding that, please don't hesitate to submit a help desk ticket, or please put it in the chat. We do want to make sure that everybody has access to that CAMS Resource Center because there are so many valuable resources. We do put a lot of information in there. And so I'm just going to quickly demonstrate how you get to the Resource Center and then how you might search for knowledge base articles once you get there. So in the CAMS resource, I'm going to open up CAMS. I'm actually in production. If I click on the little hamburger menu here at the top and I go over to Help Center, which is this orange button, I should see this CAMS Resource Center. Again, if you're only seeing the CRM Help Desk or Help Center and not the CAMS Resource Center, please do let us know or reach out to your security coordinator. They should be able to help. So once I click on that button, I'm going to get a list of published articles for CAMS. You will see that there are 178 articles, which is quite a bit. So there is searching functionality up here at the top. So if you are looking for an article of a certain subject matter, you can type it in at the top and then just use the same searching format that you would use if you were looking for a specific case or an individual or a service plan. So for example, if I had a question about, work codes, I might put in codes, and then I've now very quickly narrowed down this list where I had 178 articles before, I now have 4 articles. So it's a little easier to kind of navigate all the different information, and very quickly I can see at the top that there's an article here on work codes. So if I click on that, then I can view all the content in this knowledge base article. If you do have additional questions regarding knowledge base articles, or suggestions for knowledge-based articles that we could create and add to CAMS, please do let us know in the Zoom chat. The next thing that we wanted to talk a little bit about is all of the knowledge-based articles that have been created recently. We do make an effort to create those fairly consistently based on feedback that we receive during working sessions, through help desk tickets, through emails that we receive from all of you. So the recently generated articles include generating a delivered unit for a case management flat rate CMFR claim. So we did talk about that a little bit earlier in the meeting this morning. The second thing is Microsoft Dynamics CRM shortcut. Third thing, plan RFI pending to submitted process. Fourth thing is when eligibility doesn't calculate. We did create a KB article for that. Fifth thing is the user role setup in CAMS. Sixth is the searching for a service plan. How would you do that in CAMS? And then the last item that we've recently created a knowledge-based article regarding is reassigning a case. So again, if you have any input regarding additional knowledge-based articles that our team can create, please do let us know. We did want to quickly run through a few updates from the help desk. We did receive a question, can the original information submitted upon help desk ticket creation be included within the help desk response? So we have received your feedback, and based upon that feedback, our team has been focused on ensuring you have the necessary information to identify the issue that's being worked. We recognize that many of you put in multiple help desk tickets across your agency, so there could be times where it's difficult to know, what the help desk technician is specifically referencing. So we did want to ask at this time, we are trying to provide that information when we are responding back. Have you seen an improvement since last week? Please give us a little bit of feedback. We also just wanted to quickly remind folks to please use the URL for the help desk, and we've included it in this presentation below here. As a reminder, if you use an old link that isn't this exact same one, you won't get the same options that you do when you use this link. And that could delay our ability to appropriately triage your ticket. So please always be using this help desk URL link. We did want to close out the session today by talking a little bit about some of our next steps. So we are planning on having our next AAA ICM meeting next Thursday, same time. Please look for an invite on that. And if there is specific content that you'd like to see in this meeting next week, please do include a comment in the chat. The next item that we did want to talk briefly about, and just again remind folks, the working sessions are available to everybody. So if you haven't yet signed up, we encourage you to do so if you feel like it would be helpful to talk with our team. And we will continue those through next week. And I believe we may even have some scheduled for the week following as well. So we're going to leave the Zoom chat open for a while. So if you do have additional questions, feel free to put those in there, or suggestions for our meeting next week. But we so appreciate your time today. We will send out the PowerPoint deck as well as a recording of this presentation later today. So thank you, everybody, and have a good end to your week.